Fenugreek is an interesting substance. It's kind of an herb, but it has some very interesting properties. It's especially relevant to people who are engaged in bodybuilding and fitness because some of the best-selling so-called testosterone boosting supplements are actually based on fenugreek. So let's talk today. And also, fenugreek is unique because it contains, as far as I know, it's the only substance on earth that contains a very unique amino acid called 4-hydroxyleucine that actually acts like insulin. It's not insulin, but it stimulates the uptake of glucose, and it also promotes the synthesis of glycogen. Glycogen is stored carbohydrate in the body. It's the main source of fuel for anaerobic exercise like bodybuilding and any high-intensity exercise. So fenugreek, by virtue of this 4-hydroxyisoleucine, could not only help you control your blood glucose, but it will also help to promote glycogen synthesis, and it possibly even, and this is something I'll talk about a little bit more in detail, it might also stimulate testosterone to a certain extent. I'll give my opinion about that. But what fenugreek is, it's a plant. It stands about 2 to 3 feet. It has green leaves, small white flowers, and pods that contain golden brown seeds. The color of fenugreek is basically golden brown. If you buy a fenugreek seed extract powder, like I did recently, because I came across some research about 4-hydroxyisoleucine, and I wanted to try it out. So right now I'm actually taking fenugreek. I take it as a form of fiber. I take about maybe a teaspoon or two a day right now. It's been used, fenugreek has been for many, many years. It was used in alternative medicine, Chinese medicine, Indian medicine to treat skin disease, various diseases. It's also a common household spice. It's also a thickening agent, probably because of the fiber content. By the way, one of the major fibers in fenugreek is called glucomannan. Glucomannan has been shown in independent studies to help help you lower body fat levels, because it's a kind of really thick fiber that kind of fills you up and prevents you from eating excessive amount of calories. And glucomannan, I believe, if I remember correctly, is one of the main fibers in fenugreek. So you get that benefit also. A tablespoon of fenugreek, it contains 35 calories, about 3 grams of fiber, 3 grams of protein, 6 grams of carbs, and 1 gram of fat. Gives you 20% of the daily recommended intake of iron, 5% of the daily recommended intake of magnesium. It's not a storehouse of nutritional nutrients, but that's not fenugreek. That's not the main benefit of fenugreek. The main benefit would be its fiber content and some of the elements. It contains over 167 different compounds, but one of the interesting elements are substances called saponins. Saponins is taken from a word meaning soap, and the type of saponin that's abundant in fenugreek is what they call a steroidal saponin, and it's called Dosage. Now, a steroidal saponin means that structurally it looks like a steroid. Now, of course, steroids indicate that it's is something that's basically producing cholesterol. Examples of steroids are testosterone, vitamin D, cortisol, estrogen. What else? There's a couple of other ones I can't remember offhand. But the point being that steroids have a certain structure, and Dosage is a steroidal saponin. And the interesting thing about Dosage is it was the original source of testosterone and estrogen compounds that were used for women. It was originally taken from wild Mexican yam, and in the lab, chemists can convert Dosage because it's already kind of 3/4 of the way to being a steroid. They can just use certain enzymes that are not in the human body. They can add it to Dosage and convert it into actual testosterone and estrogen. And these were the original birth control pills and the original sources of testosterone injections, actually. Later on, the testosterone was produced synthetically. Now, some of the benefits of testosterone. Let's talk about probably the most popular and controversial aspect of fenugreek is the effect on testosterone. So what I want to do is I'm going to read directly here from a review that was done on this was done in 2017. It was a review of fenugreek. It was called A Small Plant with Big Benefits for Disease Prevention, Health Promotion. It was in the journal Molecular Nutrition and Food Research. But I'm just going to read you the part where it talks about testosterone. Aswar reported that the pherostenal glycoside fraction of fenugreek increased muscle mass by increasing anabolic activity with no change in serum testosterone levels in immature castrated and immature non-castrated male rats. They postulated the beneficial effects may be due to the increased availability of free testosterone. Now, let me stop here and explain. Testosterone is produced in men mainly in the testes and the Leydig cells, secondarily a little bit in the adrenal glands, but testosterone is mostly carried in the blood attached to certain what they call sex hormone binding globulin. They're proteins produced in the liver that attach to testosterone and carried around the blood. The problem with that is the testosterone that's attached to sex hormone binding globulin. It's not bioactive. It has to be free testosterone. It has to be separated from sex hormone binding globulin to interact with androgen receptors and produce, let's say, anabolic effects. Free testosterone is bioavailable testosterone. So now what they're saying is that the rat study showed that providing the rats with fenugreek increased testosterone. It did not increase testosterone, but it increased the availability of free testosterone, which would be a definite anabolic effect. There are certain other supplements, such as nettles, that are supposed to also do the same thing by displacing sex hormone binding globulin from testosterone, freeing the testosterone. But the point being, free testosterone is highly anabolic and is the active form of testosterone. So even if fenugreek didn't increase testosterone, if it somehow increased the availability of free testosterone, that would be an anabolic effect. A randomized, double-blind, and placebo-controlled clinical study on a proprietary, generally recognized as safe fenugreek extract that included 50% furostanol and steroidal saponins called Testofen. Now, Testofen is the stuff that's being sold in current testosterone boosters. A lot of times there's one that's really heavily advertised. I see advertisements, they have an ex-football player or something advertising it. I checked into it, and the main ingredient in it is Testofen, which is basically as I said, it's a fenugreek extract. This study involved 120 healthy aging males and was carried out to study androgen deficiency, sexual function, and androgen concentration. The results of the study suggested that testosterone significantly increased serum and free testosterone levels and improved sexual function. Additionally, subjects recorded lower aging male symptoms, implying decreases in the symptoms of androgen deficiency. The beneficial effects of fenugreek are postulated as having the ability to stimulate gonadotropin-releasing hormone and luteinizing hormone. Now, gonadotropin-releasing hormone is released from the hypothalamus in the brain. It travels to the pituitary gland, where it dictates the release of luteinizing hormone from the interior or front part of the pituitary gland. The luteinizing hormone then travels in the blood to the testes. When it gets to the Leydig cells of the liver, it basically controls the synthesis of testosterone by beginning the conversion of cholesterol into testosterone. So also fenugreek was able to enhance the testicular sensitivity to luteinizing hormone, which is very important because one of the main causes of, let's say, low testosterone in men over 40 is a decreased sensitivity to luteinizing hormone, meaning the body's still producing luteinizing hormone from the pituitary, but the testes are less sensitive. So if fenugreek was able to increase the testicular sensitivity to luteinizing hormone, that would definitely boost testosterone synthesis and also decrease the breakdown of testosterone. Investigators have also noted that testosterone may incompletely inhibit 5-alpha reductase and aromatase enzymes. Now, what does that mean? 5-alpha reductase is an enzyme that converts testosterone into dihydrotestosterone. Dihydrotestosterone is often called the bad testosterone because a lot of the side effects associated with testosterone are not caused by testosterone, but rather dihydrotestosterone, also known as DHT. Among these effects are acne, male pattern baldness, and in some instances, some prostate problems. So there are actually drugs that are prescribed to block or inhibit 5-alpha reductase. Probably the most familiar is finasteride, sold as Proscar and Propecia. Because DHT causes male pattern baldness, for the last many years now they've been prescribing finasteride as Propecia to treat male pattern baldness. Well, it turns out Fenugreek has a weak 5-alpha reductase reducing activity. That would also slightly raise testosterone. Also, as far as aromatase, aromatase is another enzyme. It's located throughout the body, especially in the peripheral areas, the arms and legs. It's especially abundant in fat tissue, and it converts testosterone into estrogen. A lot of bodybuilders take drugs that block aromatase because they don't want to have, they're taking certain steroids that are converted into estrogen by aromatase. So they take aromatase blockers to lower their estrogen. An example of that is Arimidex. And there's another way of blocking estrogen by blocking estrogen receptors. That drug is called Novadex or tamoxifen citrate. I'm not going to get into that in this video. Testosterone promoted positive effects on male libido, that's sex drive, and maintained normal testosterone levels. Fenugreek extract enhanced the physiological aspects of libido and improved the overall quality of life. In a different study, another researcher reported the positive effects of a standardized proprietary fenugreek extract called Libifen. This was studied as a way of enhancing the sexual function in healthy women with self-reported decreased sexual function. Authors noted that Libifen, you get it? Libifen, liberating femininity. Anyway, increased the levels of estradiol, which is the most potent form of estrogen. The postulated mechanism of action that the authors have suggested is increased activity of the aromatase enzyme, which catalyzes. Now, this is interesting because the testosterone, the testosterone that's prescribed to men, has a weak blocking effect on aromatase, but this other form of fenugreek called Libifen actually increases the activity of aromatase, which actually increases estrogen. As a matter of fact, women, a third of their estrogen comes from the action of aromatase on testosterone. In other words, that's the normal production in women. Fenugreek extract was shown to have estrogenic activity through its ability to bind to the estrogen receptor and act as an agonist for estrogen receptor transmission. Now, that to me indicates that you don't want to take large amounts of fenugreek. Even though this particular formula was prescribed for women, I believe even if you took, let's say, the testosterone or the male fenugreek supplements, if you overdo it, you might actually wind up stimulating too much estrogen. But that's just conjecture on my part. I don't know if there's any studies about that. In another trial, glycoside fraction of fenu seeds was given, it's called Fenu-FG, was given as a supplementation to healthy male subjects and during resistance training, and there was a significant increase in anabolic and androgenic activity, a reduction in body fat around the thighs, tricep, and chest regions without any changes to baseline biochemical and hematological parameters. Another study involved an open-label, multi-center clinical study on still another formula of fenugreek called Furosap in 50 male volunteers for 12 weeks. The study results suggested that Furosap had several benefits, namely improved testosterone levels, increased sperm count, and subjects demonstrated significant improvements in mental alertness and mood behavior. Additionally, Furosap significantly improved cardiovascular health and libido without causing any change to blood chemistry. So there you go. That's the testosterone effects of fenugreek. My personal feeling is I've seen, again, there's a couple of studies that have been published, human studies showing that fenugreek did increase testosterone in men. Similar to Long Jack or Tongat Ali, my feeling, looking at the research about fenugreek, is that if you have pre-existing low testosterone, whether you're a young man or an older man, and a young man, it might happen to let's say a bodybuilder, a natural bodybuilder who's not taking any steroids or anabolic drugs, who's training for a contest, who's on a very strict diet, who has very low body fat levels, because you have to have a certain amount of body fat to synthesize testosterone. They might actually show temporary low testosterone levels, which can actually interfere with their contest preparation. In that situation, taking Testofen or some other fenugreek extract or something like Tongat Ali might increase their testosterone enough to maintain normal levels and allow them to also hold on to more muscle, because they're natural and they need to hold on to as much muscle as possible. The other interesting effect of fenugreek, that what I believe is the more interesting effect, is that it might actually help control diabetes and control blood glucose levels. It increases carbohydrate tolerance. In one study, people with type 1 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is the type of diabetes where there's damage to the pancreas, the part of the pancreas, the beta cells that produce insulin. They're damaged. They do not produce insulin. Type 1 diabetics have to have insulin to survive. But in this study, people with type 1 diabetes took 50 grams of fenugreek seed powder at lunch and dinner. After 10 days, the participants experienced better blood sugar levels and reductions in total and LDL cholesterol. In another study, people without diabetes took fenugreek. They experienced a 13.4 reduction of blood sugar levels 4 hours after intake. Now that's the reason why I decided to try fenugreek powder myself. I want to see how the effect on my blood glucose, because I tend to eat later at night, and unfortunately the branched chain amino acids I eat tend to slightly elevate my blood glucose. And when I wake up, when I check my blood glucose with a glucometer, I often have not diabetic levels, but levels that are close to being insulin insensitive, but they're still in the normal range. It's usually between 85 and 95, which is considered completely normal. But I wanted to see if taking fenugreek would help to lower it. I'd like to get my ideal resting blood glucose would be about 75 to 80. Very difficult to attain if you're consuming a high protein diet, especially if you take the protein late at night, because protein, unfortunately, it can, especially the branched chain amino acids, they have a blood glucose raising effect. Fenugreek can improve insulin function. And again, the main fenugreek helps to control blood glucose in two main ways. The first way is because of the fiber content. Fenugreek contains both insoluble and soluble fiber. It's very rare. Usually fiber comes in one form or the other. Fruit contains soluble fiber. Wheat contains insoluble and this and that. It's very rare to find a substance that contains both insoluble and soluble fiber. I think legumes also contain insoluble and soluble fiber. But it's the soluble fiber actually helps to, basically lower the speed of absorption of carbohydrates. And in doing so, you get less insulin release, lower insulin release. But the real feature of fenugreek is that amino acid, that unique amino acid, that as far as I know, fenugreek is the only source of it. It's called 4-hydroxyisoleucine. Studies have shown this amino acid acts just like insulin without the bad effects of insulin. While insulin can stimulate body fat synthesis and also prevent stored body fat from being used as energy, 4-hydroxyleucine does not do that. But 4-hydroxyleucine does mimic the beneficial effects, meaning it helps to control blood glucose, and it also helps your body to synthesize muscle and liver glycogen. So that 4-hydroxyleucine is tremendous stuff. Some other benefits of fenugreek include appetite control. 3 studies have shown a reduction in fat intake and appetite when people ingest fenugreek. A 2-week study found that participants who consume fenugreek seed extract spontaneously reduced their total fat intake by 17%. Now, fat intake is not that bad, especially if you're not eating a lot of carbohydrates. But on the other hand, fat does contain the most dense. It's the most dense source of calories at 9 per gram. So, if you lower your fat intake, you wind up automatically consuming less calories or fewer calories, which means greater fat loss. Another benefit of fenugreek, there's some evidence that indicates that fenugreek can lower cholesterol, particularly the so-called bad cholesterol, low-density lipoprotein, which is associated with atherosclerosis, and it can also lower triglycerides levels. Again, this is probably due to the soluble fat content and the saponins that are naturally occurring in fenugreek. Triglyceride is fat. It's the fat forming that circulates in the blood. Triglycerides are a problem because it can eventually be converted into low-density lipoprotein. A 2-week study showed that people who had heartburn, if they ingested fenugreek, it seemed to reduce their symptoms, and the effects matched that of anti-acid medications. And that's another good thing, because some of the anti-acid medications that are typically prescribed for heartburn, such as proton pump inhibitors, are extremely toxic drugs. Proton pump inhibitors they're very, very popularly prescribed. Anyone who has heartburn or anything like that, the doctor will prescribe them. And the problem is that they're closely associated with liver problems and heart problems. So anything that will help control heartburn naturally, like fenugreek, would be definitely preferable to using a proton pump inhibitor. The fenugreek has been shown to have anti-inflammatory effects in animal studies. Not so much research on that in humans, but they know that that fenugreek seems to modulate the release of inflammatory cytokines like tissue necrosis factor A, which are known to cause inflammation. Again, not a lot of research in humans, but it's definitely possible. What's the best way to use fenugreek? Well, for testosterone, they only use about 500 milligrams of fenugreek extract. Well, but some other studies have, where they've shown a greater effect on testosterone have involved doses of 1 to 2 grams, or 1,000, 2,000 milligrams. If you use the whole seed form of fenugreek, you want to take in about 2 to 5 grams. I take with the fenugreek seed powder, I'm taking in 5 to 10 grams myself. I've been taking it about 2 weeks. Haven't noticed a big difference in the blood glucose. Haven't noticed any side effects either, which is good. If you're taking fenugreek, because of the 4-hydroxyisoleucine content, you probably want to take it with a meal, because you want to take advantage of the 4-hydroxyisoleucine effect on helping insulin work better and helping to control blood glucose. So what else can I say? As far as side effects, some people get, if they take too much, they might get diarrhea. There's also that appetite reduction effect, which could be, it could affect people who have, let's say, eating disorders or something like that. Some people very rarely report a kind of a strange, sweet body odor when supplementing, and fenugreek itself has a kind of a weird, sweet smell if you smell the powder. When I first got the fenugreek powder, I thought they maybe added flavoring to it, but then I realized this is the natural odor of this stuff. It's kind of just the opposite of something like valerian, which smells like desiccated horse shit. But anyway, animal studies suggest that very high doses of fenugreek can cause DNA damage, decrease fertility, neurological symptoms, and increased risk of miscarriage. Of course, that's in women. Very dangerous today if a woman, in the current horrible atmosphere, if a woman miscarries, if the Republicans, as I'm doing this video, it's before the November midterm elections, but If the Republicans, control the Congress again, a woman who has a miscarriage can actually be arrested and go to jail. So, I mean, I'm not going to get into it, but it's insane. But anyway, the point being that huge doses, I'm talking massive doses, could cause these side effects. Moderate doses are going to cause no side effects. Like I said, I've been taking about 10 grams a day, which is actually double the recommended dose. Haven't had any side effects whatsoever. Nothing whatsoever. So I think that's about it for Fenugreek. I think, again, it has many other attributes that I'm not going to get into, because a lot of them involve what they call in vitro or isolated cell studies and animal studies. I'm not a big believer in vitro studies, which involve exposure of isolated cells of various types to different compounds to see how the cells are going to react to the compound. But the problem with that is how a cell reacts in isolation to a compound that it's exposed to isn't necessarily replicated in the human body. So I'm not a big believer in vitro studies. Animal studies, less than 50% of animal studies are applicable to human physiology. Less than 50%. So in my Applied Metabolics publication, I very rarely mention, or not mention, but I very rarely feature animal studies, because I don't believe most of them are applicable to human physiology. A lot of the testosterone boosting supplements that are sold today are based entirely on animal studies, like rat and mice studies. There's no human evidence whatsoever. I would never recommend those supplements. Without human evidence, at least some human evidence, why would you take it? You're going by the word of somebody who's selling it? You got to be kidding. Anyway, and by the way, anecdotal evidence, this crap on the internet where you go on these sites or these forums, I took Fedosia and I put 2 inches on my arm. That's what they call placebo effect. In other words, don't believe it. First of all, the guy could be lying. Second of all, you don't even know if it's true. So don't go by anecdotal. This is a little tip that has nothing to do with this video. Don't believe anecdotal evidence. The anecdotal evidence always starts with, it worked for me. It worked for him. It might not work for you or the next guy. Anecdotal evidence is garbage. Doesn't mean it doesn't work, but it doesn't mean it does work. That's the best way to look at it. So, again, the 2 main features, just to sum up, of Fenugreek are definitely great source of fiber, very good effect on blood glucose and insulin, and also possible good effect on testosterone, increasing effect under certain conditions such as pre-existing low testosterone levels. If you have normal testosterone or high testosterone, I believe Fenugreek will do absolutely nothing. And that has actually been shown in a couple of human studies where they gave Fenugreek extract, the same one that raised testosterone in the other studies. They gave it to men with normal testosterone levels. It had no effect whatsoever. So anyway, that's about it. If you want to have more information on nutrition, exercise science, anti-aging research you can use today. You can't stop aging. I just saw a medical journal article. It was basically saying, you don't have to die. How to live forever. And the article, by the way, I read it. I was curious. Doesn't tell you at all how to live forever. It's totally theoretical, absolute garbage. But you can't live forever. But what you can do is you can increase what you call you might not be able to increase your lifespan to a great extent. In other words, not everyone can live to 125 or more. That's a genetic mutation. But what you can do is increase your health span. What that means is as you get older, you can be healthy and free of disease that incapacitates you, makes you immobile, frail, and where you have to be put in a nursing home, where it robs you of your brain, your cognitive abilities, if you can't think. You can control health span. That's what I talk about in Applied Metabolics. I also cover various ergogenic aids. These are substances that help increase your workout energy and efficiency. Supplement science, which supplements work, which ones don't. I'm not associated with any supplement company. I have no access to grind, no ulterior motives. I'm going to tell you the 100% truth, because this is what I'd want to know. I don't want to be lied to. I want to know which supplements work and which don't. And if I make any enemies by exposing crap supplements, so be it. These people are scum for selling cheap, phony supplements. They deserve to be exposed, in my opinion. So I'm not trying to make any of these. I'm just trying to tell the truth. That's my thing, the truth, 100% truth. I've always been a truth seeker, and Applied Metabolics is for truth seekers, people that want to know the truth. I also cover women's health and fitness, various aspects related to women, various nutritional controversies, exercise science, of course. All of this is covered in Applied Metabolics. There's other digital publications, but none of them contain the variety of topics that can match Applied Metabolics, nor can any of these digital publications match my 62 years of experience, knowledge, and study, and being in the trenches, in the gym itself, trying different techniques, and studying other people, knowing what works and what doesn't. It can't be matched by any other publication. It's anywhere from 30 to 50 pages each month. It comes out on the first of the month. It's not expensive at all. It's very inexpensive. Anyone could afford it, no matter what the economy is. It's 33 cents a day, for crying out loud. I drop a quarter, 2 quarters almost every day. That's 50 cents. I just lose it every day. It falls out of my pocket. Come on, 33 cents for something that could change your life, improve your workouts, lower your aging rate. I mean, come on, that's not worth it? What can I say? So subscribe today, www.appliedmetabolics.com. When you subscribe, if you want, just contact me. I'll send you an invitation to my private Applied Metabolics Facebook page, where each day I post new information on nutrition, exercise science, and general medicine. That Facebook page is almost like having a second subscription, because there's a ton of interesting information on that. I mean, hot off the press new studies on nutrition, exercise, and medicine. I mean, I put them on the day they come out. And that, again, is only for current subscribers of Applied Metabolics. I have an email portal on my Applied Metabolics website where current subscribers only. I don't accept unsolicited questions. Current subscribers only can send me short questions about anything they might have read in Applied Metabolics or anything that comes to mind related to training and nutrition. And I'll answer the question if they are current subscribers. I will not answer unsolicited questions, because I look at this as a kind of a bonus for an appreciation of your subscription to Applied Metabolics. I will personally answer your questions. So obviously I'm not going to do that if you're not a subscriber, but you're welcome to leave comments under these videos, particularly suggestions for future videos. I think, if I remember correctly, this video was based on a suggestion. Somebody wanted me to do a video on Fenugreek, so I did it. So if a submitted suggestion, if I feel it'll interest a number of people, I'll be happy to do a video on it. And my videos are no bullshit. Again, you'll notice I'm not selling you any supplements. I'm not telling you to buy Fenugreek or anything like that. I'm just giving you the scientific, evidence-based facts. And also, do me a favor, if you feel that my videos, my channel, is of value, please let others know about it and subscribe yourself. If this is your first time here, it's easy. You just press a button, subscribe. I believe when you subscribe, that means that you'll get an email informing you every time a new video is out. But I can tell you right now that I post a new video every Tuesday, actually late Monday morning. Every Tuesday on this channel, there's a new video. So again, please subscribe to my channel, and more importantly, subscribe to my Applied Metabolics, because you will learn something and save yourself a lot of grief. Trust me on that. I swear, I wish I had Applied Metabolics when I was a competitive bodybuilder. It would have saved me so much grief and mistakes and really stuff that really messed me up. I wish I had this publication. Seriously, really good for personal trainers too, because it'll educate you. It'll help you with your clients. There's something in there for everybody, believe me. And it's written, by the way, in case you're wondering, that's another advantage of Applied Metabolics. It's in non-tactical language. I've been a professional writer for about 42 years. I don't even know how many articles I've had. Probably about 12,000 articles published over the years. I know how to write for the public. If I have to use a technical term, I will translate it for you so you understand it. Anyone with let's say a 4th grade reading level, meaning that you could read sentences like Dick and Jane run up the hill, should be able to read Applied Metabolics. And and I've gotten this request a lot. If you are just don't even want to read it, but you want the information, Microsoft Windows provides a free app where you can open up the the newsletter on your computer or whatever. You can go to this app and it'll read the entire newsletter to you. You don't even have to read it yourself. So there's no excuse for anyone. If you want to have the best friend you'll ever have, go to your local shelter, adopt a dog. Thanks for listening.